カシの人数は
はるかに多い。200は超えておりましょう。
13人。おのおの方、覚悟はよいな。おう。
Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the action movie podcast where we talk about all things action movies. The good, the bad, and the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always is, hold on, what does this say here? Oh, Grayson.
What's up? What's up?
Not much, what's up with you?
Chilling.
Chilling?
Peak starts next week, so my work's about to get fucking crazy.
Yummy. Mm-hmm. So, last week, I was in Seattle.
Yes, you were.
Or last weekend, yeah.
Yes.
And I have a little tradition where every time I go somewhere new, I like to bring you back something.
Oh, yes.
And it's usually, what I try to do is find the tackiest souvenir I can find.
Yeah.
And this year, I'm going to do this live, so I brought you something.
Ooh, excellent. Oh, thank you.
So you can go ahead and unwrap that.
All right, let's see. Damn, they really fucking packed this in there, huh?
Yeah. Go ahead and take it away.
That's incredible.
Do you want to describe to people what you're looking at?
It's a shot glass. But there's like the top of the Seattle Space Needle glued to the bottom of it. and it says Space Needle on the side of the shot glass. However, you have to flip it upside down in order to read it. Which is incredible.
You should try to put it down like how you would put... Yeah, there you go. Now it's the Space Needle.
Yeah, now it's the Space Needle. It kind of looks like a UFO.
It does. Also, for anyone who can't see it, it is impractically large.
Oh, it's so big. And it's like so bottom heavy.
Yeah.
That like, if you like tried to shoot this and you're not careful, you'd hit yourself in the fucking...
Yeah, you'd fling it across the room. So
no, that's incredible. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to do that live on air.
That's so funny.
I still don't think anything will cover or beat the T-shirt I got you in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, what stays in Vegas, or what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Except it's a beige shirt.
It's like egg white.
It's egg white, and it's got this weird font.
It's like almost Comic Sans.
Yeah, you'd find it on like your Word document.
Yeah, it's what like sixth graders use on their little presentation when they think they're being funny.
Yeah, and it's it's slightly off center.
Yeah, it's slightly off center. The words are a little funky, and it's got some weird colors on it.
And I I bought it from just about the shadiest.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's enough self-indulgence.
Yeah. It's very funny.
What do I do?
That's
Grayson?
a fantastic question.
What do I do?
I don't know.
What can I do?
We're talking about a movie.
We talked about a movie. We already talked about it.
We already talked about it. If you missed it, too bad.
Everybody go home.
Yeah, adios.
No, I remember what I was going to say. Not today, but the day this goes out, because I'm going to release this episode a little bit early, it will be our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, hey!
Happy anniversary, Grayson.
Damn, that's crazy.
How does it feel to be 1 year old?
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I'm still at that point of being a baby where I can't see like 2 feet past myself.
Oh, yeah. I have object permanence.
Oh, you do now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't. I like look at something and then I look away and it's gone.
Oh, so you have no object permanence.
Correct.
Okay.
I have no object.
You are a toddler, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even a toddler. When are you a toddler?
I think it's like 4.
Really?
I think so.
Oh.
Maybe like 4 or 5, maybe 6.
I don't know anything about children.
Neither do I. I hate them. I'm never gonna have kids. The instant I can, I'm getting snipped.
Good. I think you can do it now.
Oh, damn straight?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. I gotta talk to my doctor.
25, you can do it.
I am. That's terrifying. I hate being 25.
You can rent a car.
I can rent a car.
Finally.
I
Your
know.
insurance premium probably went down.
Probably.
Yeah. When you're AMAB and you turn 25, you can your insurance premium goes down because it's like it doesn't matter. Anyway,
It's fine. It's whatever.
happy anniversary, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. It's been a year of this.
It's been a year. If you're listening for the first time, we've got a year's worth of episodes.
Yeah.
At a certain point, we stopped putting out 2 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I just went to 1.
Yep.
So there's slightly more than 20 something episodes.
Yeah.
Regardless, thanks everybody for listening,
Yep.
sticking with us. Here's to another year.
Hell yeah.
We're grimacing at each other.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway,
Grimace.
Grimace. Hit the grimace.
Hit the grimace.
Hit the gritty.
Yeah.
And I bring up the gritty far too much.
Have you ever actually done the gritty?
Yes.
Oh.
Have you never done the gritty?
I've never done the gritty.
It's easy to do.
Oh, I know it's easy. I just refuse to do it.
Like,
Yeah. I just refuse to do it.
That's okay. You don't have to refuse. Just do it. Like Nike says.
Just do it. Do it. Remember when that was a thing?
I remember. Pepper Ridge Farm remembers.
This podcast has become a meme podcast.
It has. Let's stop now. I got this. We're so off topic so early, but so I'm on TikTok more often than I should be for a man my age.
Same.
And I have fucked my algorithm so many different ways that I get the randomest things. And the other day, I got this video. I don't know if people watch this kind of thing. It was like a clip of somebody playing Minecraft, right? And then over the top of it, somebody was there was like an AI voice that was just like reciting memes. So it was just like
I get the ones where they're it's reciting like a Reddit post.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I get those too.
Yeah. I haven't heard the meme one.
Oh my god, I gotta show you. We will get to the movie at some point.
Yeah. Just bear with us.
Just bear with me. Growl, everybody. I literally opened my phone and TikTok was open. That's
Jesus.
really embarrassing. I gotta show you this ad I got. And for everybody listening, if you can just describe what you're looking at.
Okay, all right. Oh, oh boy.
I took a screenshot.
Wow. Okay, so, all right, you know Judy Hopps from that one movie?
From Zootopia.
Zootopia. Yeah, it's Judy Hopps. She's got legs for days.
Yep.
Huge naturals.
Yeah.
I mean, just
enormous.
Just the biggest tits.
She's about to burst out of her shirt.
Yeah. And so she's wearing, like, the top is her cop uniform, wearing a tie and a belt, but then she's got a G-string and thigh highs.
Yep.
And her head is wildly disproportionate.
Yes, she's got a tiny head.
Yeah. Tiny head, giant tits.
And on the bottom it says AI art generator, dash, anime art. Try now. And then it's got that little wibbly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, which means like approximately.
Yeah.
So I got that ad the other day.
Did you download it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
And we're going to go through it now. No.
That I did not know what to expect coming out of that, but that is now seared into my retinas for the rest of time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about the movie.
Yes.
Because this week we've watched a movie, and we watched 13 Assassins.
Yeah, we did.
Which is a 2010 historical action drama film directed by Takashi Miike with a story by Shoichiro Ikamiya. I mostly did that right.
I think it's raining.
Is it raining?
I hear it on your roof.
Oh, it is. Look at that.
Fuck yeah.
All right. The film is...
Look, we're in the Midwest. We're in the Southwest. We don't
Yeah.
get rain a lot.
No,
so.
we don't. The film is a remake of the 1962 film 13 Assassins, made by Ichi Kudo. The film stars Koji Yakusho, Takayuki Yamada, Yusuke Isaya, Tsuyoshi Ihara, Hiroki Matsukata, Mikihiro Hira, Goro Inigaki, and Masachika Ichimura. The film does not pass the Bechdel test.
Absolutely. I don't even... No, wait. There are women.
There are women. I think 2 women get a speaking line.
Yeah, and then that's about it.
And that's about it. The film has a 95% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is
Nice.
nice. With an 88% audience score. And finally, the synopsis, which I gathered. Let's cancel the podcast.
It's been a great year, everybody.
A group of assassins come together for a suicide mission to kill an evil lord.
That's about it.
That's about it.
That's...
Now, before we get into the film's plot and its behind the scenes and all that jazz, what did you think of it?
It was good. It was good. It picked up a little slow, but it was good.
Yeah.
I think we said this the last episode, but yeah, trigger warning for
Yes. Everything.
It's there are some very dark and upsetting things.
Yes.
Not as gory as I was expecting it to be.
No.
But no, it was good.
Yeah.
I did find myself, there were a couple moments where I went, oh God. But I think it was a really good story.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
I love this movie. This is, for me, probably in my top, in terms of like action movies, this is in my top 20. In terms of like movies, this is in my top 100. Like, it's just, fuck. Which doesn't say much, but it's so good. Like, to me, because this movie, it's the kind of thing where it's like, it's not for everybody. Because like you said, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel really bad at the end of the movie about all the violence that you just witnessed.
Yeah.
And there's moments where you're like, haha, this is great. And then 2 seconds later, you're like, oh, God.
Oh, no.
I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like it hits all these different notes and it does all of them really well. And I think it's a good example of like what an action movie can be in terms of it's really artful and it has something to say that isn't just violence. How about it? You know?
Yeah.
Like it is not just a depiction of something really violent. It is a commentary on violence and when we can feel good about it and when we probably shouldn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I can watch this any day of the week. I mean, it's not a cheerful movie.
Oh God, no.
But it builds to really great moments.
Yes.
And I think it delivers on the promise. Like, it makes a promise at the start of the movie that it delivers on at the end of the movie.
Yes.
And that can often be hard for movies to do.
Yeah.
And so I think it's great. I adore it.
It is very good.
Yeah. So
Was this based off of historical events?
we will talk about it
Okay.
without spoiling the movie.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So we'll get to it.
All
But before we move on to all that, would you recommend people watch this movie? And you can give it as many caveats as you want.
Yes. Yes, I would recommend it, but I would only recommend it to very certain people that I know would enjoy this.
Yes.
Because again, trigger warning for everything.
Yeah.
It is, it can be very what's the fucking word?
Upsetting.
Yeah, there's a better word for it. It can be very upsetting for certain people,
Yeah.
and it just, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
No.
But there are definitely certain people that I know that I would definitely recommend this to.
Yeah. It's like you said, I think if I knew somebody who had experienced, some sort of, I'll just come right out and say it, some sort of sexual violence.
Yeah.
100% do not recommend this movie.
Don't.
If you're listening to this and that sort of thing affects you in a certain way, or if that's something that's affected your life, don't watch this movie. It will, has some really upsetting. It doesn't have any graphic depictions of the act itself.
No.
But there is a lot of the aftermath.
It's very implied.
And it's very heavily implied. So I would say just steer clear of it.
Yeah.
Second to that, if, you're a combat veteran or something where that kind of violence upsets you, same thing, steer clear.
Same thing with suicide.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Like I said, just basically everything.
Yeah, it's a gnarly one.
If you have a weak stomach, probably don't watch it.
Yeah, the weak stomach, it's like I was saying, it wasn't as gory as I thought it was going to be, but there is still a lot of blood.
It is very bloody.
I think there are 2 decapitations, which they kind of like show. They show at least the heads kind of rolling.
Yeah. Heads do roll.
Yeah. There's like an execution style thing that happens.
Yes.
So it's not like gory graphic, but it is like content graphic, if that makes sense.
It is not for the faint of heart.
No. So, yes, watch at your own risk. And if anything we said, like, icks you, just
steer clear.
Just don't. You can listen to the podcast and,
Yeah, because I'm not going to describe anything.
Hell no.
No.
And if you've been listening for a while, you already kind of know how this goes. So.
Yeah. But anyway, spoilers.
Yeah.
So, what you were talking about just a second ago. So, the villain in this movie is a guy named Lord Matsudaira Naritsugu. He's a big old bitch.
Yeah.
Just a murderous.
Probably one of the worst villains I've seen in a movie.
The worst guy.
Yeah. Like, think of like the worst person
Yeah.
Double it.
He executes children for fun.
Yes. It's bad.
He's a bad man.
Yeah.
And he's based on a real person. So he's based on a guy with that same name.
Okay.
And like it says at the end of the movie, like when it finishes, it says like, oh, Lord Naritsugu was declared dead a few days later from a mysterious illness.
Yeah.
That is what happened. So this guy died in real life from illness. I think it was probably like tuberculosis or something like that.
Classic.
But the whole plot of like to assassinate him, and the Shogun, orders this secret, cabal of guys to go get him.
Yeah.
None of that really happened. This is what's considered like speculative fiction.
Okay.
So it's like somebody thought about, well, what if, because in real life, that guy, he was set to be, on this court, and he was going to be, the right hand to the Shogun, and he was kind of incompetent. Like, from what I read, just like on the Wikipedia page, it was sort of like he, he made these promises of like, I'm going to help the economy, but then he was like classic rich person, like still spending wildly.
Yeah.
Just like an irresponsible guy. And I didn't read anything about him doing something awful, but like, it sounds like just typical, noble stuff.
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of the context. It's like this idea that because like I said, this is based on a movie from 1962.
Okay. And
that was kind of the idea for that movie, was somebody just thought like, here's this guy and he died under these circumstances that are slightly mysterious. Like, what if instead of him dying from illness, it was this plot to take him out? Which I just find interesting. It's a lot of the like circumstances surrounding it are accurate. Like, that it was this time of peace, so the samurai didn't really have anything to do. Like, they were kind of just hanging out. Yeah, there's all that stuff. But one of the things that the main reason I wanted to talk about this movie, well, number one, because we're finishing up Roninvember.
Yeah,
which is our samurai month. And this, I think, is a great modern samurai movie. I just think it's fucking phenomenal. But
it's very good.
The main reason I want to talk about this movie is because it has 2 moments in it that rank in like my like top 10 of like action movie moments. And the first one happens, they kind of happen like boom boom, like one right after the other, but
Yeah.
so early on in the movie, and again, I won't really describe any of the whatever, but we meet this character, and she's this peasant girl who's been wronged by this lord, right? And she's been horribly like mutilated and whatever. And the lead actor, the lead character whose name is... Let me find it.
You got it.
Shinzemon. You know, he's told to go meet this girl, and he asks her, like, well, what happened to your family? And she can't talk because, you know, she's had her tongue cut out. And
Classic.
so he hands her, like, you know, a quill, and she writes out what happened to her family. And the thing she writes out is total massacre.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, fuck, that sucks, right?
Yeah.
Well, then rest of the movie happens, and about 2/3 of the way through, we see the reveal of you know, this plot that they've put together to kill this lord, and they've created this village of death, basically, right? Like they lock all the guys inside. Yeah, they blow up a bunch of stuff. Yeah, and Shinzemon is on the top of this stairway, basically, or this walkway, and he's standing up there, and he's like, enough petty tricks, right? And I think his name is Hanbei. He's like his opposite, who's defending this lord. Yeah. He's like telling his samurai, you know, let's show them what we're all about or whatever. And Shinzemon, without saying a word, and there's no music. Yep. It's dead silent. He reaches into his fucking kimono. Yeah. Pulls out this scroll, unfurls it, and it just says total massacre. Oh, fucking God.
Yeah. No, that was a baller move.
It's one of those moments where every time I watch it, I just like throw my hands in the air. Yeah. It's like the setup, like they telegraph it like early in the movie, right? Yep. Like, and you kind of forget about it. Yep. And you're like, what's he reaching for? And when he pulls it out and unfurls it, it's like a full body chills moment. Yep. It's just so like... If you're going to watch this movie for one thing... Watch it for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just go to work.
Yeah. It's so fucking...
It's like so good.
And it is a total massacre.
Oh, yeah.
2 guys make it out at the end.
Not... yeah. I was glad... A little confused. Yeah. But that... crazy-eyed guy they found in the forest. Yes. First of all, I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
He's incredible. When he died, yes, I was bummed. Yeah. But then he just like shows back up completely fine. And I was like, didn't you have like a whole sword through your throat? Why?
So I was reading like, because I too was like, what the hell? Like, why is he alive? Yeah. Because I forgot like what. Because I haven't seen this movie in a couple of years, so when I was watching it this time and he takes the sword through the neck, I was like, oh, I forgot he died. And then he shows up at the end, and I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? So I was reading about it. There's some speculation about, like, why that could be. And the prevailing theory seems to be, well, the prevailing theory is that it's just supposed to be a funny moment. Like, you're not supposed to think about it too hard. But the second theory is that he's supposed to be like a yokai or like a forest spirit, and so he's not really a person. Like he's just there to help them because they're doing this honorable thing. Okay, and he's this like forest god spirit thing. Okay, and I guess there's some evidence to support that. Like when he's having that vision, like he's like daydreaming about that woman he's in love with. Oh, and you see her like bathing in the river. Yeah. That's kind of like spiritual imagery. So it's kind of like postulated that maybe he's this like monkey spirit. Okay. And that's why he's like running around on all fours and he's got like a rock that he's swinging. Yeah.
I like that theory, and it makes sense too because like he like joins just for the fun of it.
Yeah, just for the hell of it.
Yeah. Right. And he tells the main guy, he's like, you guys are fucking the worst. Yeah. Like, you guys suck. Right? Like, samurai are fucking arrogant and dumb as shit. What the hell? So I like that theory. I think that's a pretty good theory.
And I love his character too, because
so good.
he's the only one of them who's like, he's not a samurai, so he's got no martial training at all.
Yeah.
And literally for most of it, he's got a rock and a rope, and he is swinging it.
Yep. He's bonking people real hard. He's throwing the rock.
Yeah.
He'll drop the fucking rocks and pick up a big ass stick and just start hitting people. It's great.
He's great.
Yeah. He's wonderful.
And he's kind of the comic relief, because most of this movie's very serious.
Yes.
But there's light moments like where he walks in and he's just like, woohoo! And he's like swinging a
Yep.
just bonking dudes.
Yeah.
But the other big moment that to me is just fucking sick. Like, so much of this movie's great, but the other big, like, holy fuck moment for me is one of the characters who's a big part of it, his name is let me find his name. His name is Hirayama Kujiro, right? And he's like that real big guy. He's the Ronin. Who he trained under Shinzemon, but then he kind of goes off on his own and gets into adventures, and he brings his little apprentice with him, who I think his name is it Gojira? No. What's his name?
Fuck.
I can't remember. But
I also can't remember.
There's this moment where all these samurai run down this corridor because they're like, oh, this part, we can probably get out here. And then he steps out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's like all these swords in the ground.
Yo.
And you're like, what's going on here? And he's standing and he does the typical samurai thing where he pulls the sword out of the scabbard, right?
Uh-huh.
And then his little, assistant comes out behind him.
Yeah.
And he tells him, kill anyone who gets past me.
Yup.
Oh, fucking.
I know. And then he just he fucks him up.
Yeah, he does.
He fucks him up real hard. And he's just like pulling swords out of fucking place. And oh my god.
Because he'll like stick one in somebody and just leave it and then go grab another. Like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's very good.
And there's a great moment where he's like killed all these people, and then he's standing there and he's got the two swords out, and it's like an overhead shot, and then you see the river, and then all of a sudden it starts running red because of all the blood. Oh, so good.
It's very good.
I love that moment. Those two clips are on YouTube, and I will regularly just like when I need a pick me up, just be like, Total Massacre, 13 Assassins. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Speaking of that guy and his little assistant, there's a very upsetting moment, like midway through the movie, where it's like, they've set up the plot, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to head this guy off in this village. So they're kind of on their way there, but they get confronted by this group of Ronin.
Yes.
And, they dispatch them pretty easily, but that guy's, I keep calling him an assistant. He's his apprentice. He like goes to kill a guy.
Oh, yes.
But then his sword gets like stuck in like that guy's shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And he ends up killing him, but there's a moment where he's standing there and he's just like staring at his sword.
Yeah.
And that guy goes up to him and he's like, first time in combat or something like that.
First time you killed somebody.
Yeah. And he's like, I've, sparred a lot, but killing somebody's a first for me. And there's just the look on his face. He's like so shell shocked that you're like, I forgot.
No, the acting in this movie is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah. That part, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, there's kind of like 2 or 3 moments where you're kind of enjoying the action.
Yeah.
And then Takashi Miike, who's the director, he likes to like throw in like, hey, by the way, you should feel bad. Yeah.
This is a terrible thing that's happening.
Yeah. And they also make you feel bad for all the guys they kill, because they're like, those Ronin like didn't have any money. Like they probably took it because they were starving,
Yep.
And you guys just murdered them all. Yeah, there's moments where you're like, oh, I forgot. Like they're all gonna die.
Yeah. Yep. It's Yeah. It's a real bummer.
It is a real bummer. Yeah, because there's definitely like we'll take it back to the beginning for a minute. because I feel like I haven't even described like what the movie's actually about. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're listening at this point, you've probably already seen it. But regardless, so there's this guy, and he's the worst, and he does a bunch of bad things.
Yeah.
And he's set to like, be on the Shogun's council. And basically, if this guy gets like put into power, he's gonna be the worst. He's probably gonna ruin the whole country.
Yeah.
And so the like head advisor to the Shogun is like, almost secretly put together this group of guys to go kill him, right? And we'll do it in secret so that the Shogun doesn't get mad, because the Shogun can't outright kill this guy, right? Because if he does, he's gonna lose his power and whatever. And so he puts together this like group of guys, and one of the things that I think the movie does really well is it doesn't make you care about all of them. Like, not all of them are characters. Right. But there's a handful that you get to know their names and, like, one or two things about them. Yeah. So there are, like, stakes to it. Yeah. So, like, you have, like, Shinzemon, who's, like, the main guy. Yeah. You've got, I think his name is...
There are 13 of them, so...
There are 13. Oh, his name is Shimada Shinrokuro. He's, like, Shinzemon's nephew. And he's this kind of, like, playboy, like, you know, fun-loving guy who's kind of reluctant at first. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this or whatever, but his uncle's like, come do it. And he's like, all right.
Nah, you convinced me.
And then you meet the Ronin, who we were talking about earlier, his apprentice. And then there's like that old guy who's like with the spear. Yeah. He's great.
Oh, he's wonderful. He's like, yeah, I'll do this, but I need $200. And they're like, for why? And he was like, the things he was going to spend it on was to bury his wife.
Yep.
To settle, or basically as a down payment on his like burial and all that. Paying debts.
Yep.
And then, is there one other thing?
Yeah, he says like to enjoy all the luxuries he didn't get to enjoy in this life.
Yeah.
So basically, he's like, I need some graves, pay off my debts, and then I want to fuck.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking do drugs, and it's gonna be great. And then we're gonna go fuck up a bunch of bitches, and if I die, I die.
And he has a great line later where, after the total massacre thing, he takes the scabbard off of his spear, and he says, the price you paid for my life is a real bargain. Yeah. And I'm like, this guy's great.
It's pretty good. Who was the guy, the betting guy?
That's his nephew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Shimada.
He says something during that whole like little betting scene.
Yeah.
He says something just absolutely brutal to that guy next to him. Yeah. Because like he bets, I don't know what the game was, but there was like a dice involved and you bet like even or odd.
Yeah.
And I think he bet odd and it was odd. So he like won a bunch of money. And the guy next to him was like, oh, it must be your lucky day or something. Mm-hmm. And the nephew just goes, don't talk to me. Yeah. And the guy's like, well, what? And he's like, luck, what was it? It was like something along the lines of like, luck leaves those who were spoken by an unlucky person or something.
Yeah.
And the guy just gets all pissed and like leaves. Yeah. And I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is like, they go out of their way to like not make you like the deed that they're doing is more noble than the people themselves.
Yes.
Because a lot of the samurai that you meet, they suck.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like they're arrogant and they're murderous and just like the worst.
Yep.
But they're killing this guy who
is even worse.
Yeah. Like he is so bad that all these bad people are like, oh, we can't have that guy in power. Like,
yeah. Yep.
And it's also said that like this guy is the worst because he put down, and they kind of just imply this in like dialogue and whatever, but he's basically accused of putting down like a revolt, right? Like they talk about this, revolt that happens among all these like, peasants who come together because they're not being treated fairly. And he basically puts them down and, whatever. And so towards the end, when he is getting killed, Shinzemon goes out of his way to be like, I am killing you on behalf of the people, right? Like
Yes.
I am doing this because you are a danger to the citizens, right?
Yeah.
Which I just think is great.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Also, you get a little bit of like catharsis when he dies.
Yes.
Because after he gets stabbed,
yes,
he starts freaking out because he was like, he's like this guy that thinks he's invincible, right? He's never gonna die. And then he like gets stabbed and he like goes down and he starts saying like, screaming. He's like, I'm scared. Am I dying? Like, what's happening to me? And then he finally dies and you're like, yeah, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. He gets a really cathartic cathartic death. It's great. Yeah.
Because we've seen him do these just god awful things.
Yeah.
And so by the end of it, you're like, please die.
Yeah.
Just fucking please. And it's good.
Yes. So what do you think? So you said the movie is very slow in the beginning, and it is very slow because it's a lot of just people talking.
Yes.
And it's a lot of people just sitting cross-legged on the ground and just, discussing war.
Yeah, and I get why they have to do that, but I don't know. It is, so the thing is like it's a 2-hour long movie, and I think you could have cut a lot of that stuff down.
Yeah. And
made it like an hour and a half, hour 45.
Well, so the original movie is an hour and a half. Like the one from the 60s. And I watched a good bit of it. It is almost entirely a shot-for-shot remake.
Oh, really?
Like the beginning is very similar, like where they're all meeting and talking about whatever. The scene where that guy does horrible things to that guy and his wife in the beginning, there's like that flashback.
Yeah.
That is almost shot-for-shot the same.
Wow.
But what Takashi Miike changes is he extends the last half of it. So the battle scene goes for 45 minutes.
Okay.
As opposed to like 30 minutes or something like that. And then he adds a little bit more in the middle. Like he adds that Ronin battle and he adds something else.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you could cut down some of the stuff in the beginning. I think they go a little... Because Takashi Miike, like, for people who don't know, he is a notoriously graphic director. He has these 2 movies that he's probably most known for. One is called The Audition, and one is called Ichi the Killer. And both of them are banned in several countries because of
holy fuck,
how violent they are.
Wow.
Yeah, because he started in like horror. Like The Audition is like a horror movie.
Okay.
Ichi the Killer is an adaptation of a manga, but I think he like cranks the violence up a lot. So he's known for kind of being really extreme.
Okay.
But what's funny about his filmography, if you look at it, like his first few movies are like
movies.
His first few movies are his first few movies are like, oh my god, I can't say few. His first few movies, there we go, are like horror movies and these like super ultra violent things. And then he did like adaptations of the Yakuza games, which are these like super wacky, like whatever. And then he did some more violent stuff. And then now he's directing a lot of like children's television. I know. He directs these like weird girl group like superhero shows. I don't know. I tried to find them. Yeah, I know. And then
holy shit.
And then he's back to crime dramas. Like I don't know what his deal is, but
he's just doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, he seems deeply strange. Like I watched this interview with him. Because he's one of those where he doesn't do a lot of like interviews and stuff. But he was at this film festival and they did an interview with him. And let me tell you, he is the king of dodging a question. Like he's
really wow.
They would ask him like, so a lot of people say that you're really weird for your depictions of violence in movies, but like, what do you say in response to that? And he's like, well, the thing about movies is that I like to go on walks in the morning, and sometimes you look at a bird and it's not really a bird, it's a fish, and you're like, what are you saying?
What does that mean? Yeah, that's very odd.
Yeah, he's an odd duck, but he's known for like kind of cranking things up to 11, which I think he definitely does. Like I think you could do even though it does result in a great moment later on, I think you could do without the armless woman who's naked and has no tongue. Like, it's a little bit much.
Yeah, it is. It's, we could cut that.
We could cut that. You could even imply it without having to show it, because it is a very upsetting.
Yes.
Like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, what the?
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with not having two of your limbs. It's more like the reveal of it and knowing how she got that way and what she's been used for is very upsetting.
Yes.
And it makes it, but I guess at the same time, even though it's awful, it makes you be on the side of the people you're supposed to be on the side of, right? Like, because they are mass murderers, right?
Yeah.
They kill 200 people just to get this one guy.
Yeah.
And it's a bit much.
It is.
But he kind of deserves it.
Just a little. Like, a lot of it.
And I think the people on his side kind of deserve it. Because you're, like, defending this awful man.
Yeah, because I was like, what's it? Hanbei?
Hanbei.
I kept thinking throughout the movie that, like, the main guy would eventually convince Hanbei, because they're kind of like buddies.
Yeah.
Right? And I kept thinking and hoping, I was like, Hanbei is going to realize that what he is doing is wrong.
Right.
And he will either, like, defect at the very end, or at least turn and help the 13 assassins with taking this guy down. But he never does. And I think part of that is just this culture around honor.
Right.
Where he's like, I have to do this out of honor. And if I turned on him and my orders, that would be dishonorable.
Yeah.
Which, it's like, fair, but also if you helped kill this dickbag, that also might be honorable.
Right.
And so it's a very two-sided thing. And so
But I do like that the movie makes you think about it.
Yes.
Right? Because, like, we don't understand it because we have a different cultural. I mean, this is going to be, like, oversimplified. And probably, I don't know. I'm not going to say this correctly, but the American, like, equivalent to this is something like, like a Western, right?
Yes.
And, like, in the Western, the people we often side with in those kinds of films are people on the side of justice.
Yeah.
As opposed, and you are in this movie as well, but there's never really the discussion of loyalty in those movies, because loyalty in an American film is seen more as a value of people on the right side of the moral,
whatever
playing field, right?
Yes.
So if somebody's loyal, they are also good, right?
Yes.
Whereas in this time period in Japan, you were loyal no matter what, right?
Yes.
It was your duty. Like, it was, you are put on this earth. Heaven has put you on earth to be loyal to the person you've been assigned to, right?
Yes.
And to go against that is to go against the will of whatever force put you on earth, right?
Yes.
And so it's this difference in, even if the person you're protecting is the worst guy in the world, you have been told by God himself that is your job, right?
Yes.
And to go against it is to go against the will of heaven, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, I know I'm oversimplifying that. Mm-hmm. I also shouldn't say God, because I think at this point in Japan it was I can't remember the name of it, but it's more like spirits and ancestor worship than it is like a singular God. But regardless, so I like the idea that there are these two guys who are representations of their singular duties, right? And one of them feels a duty to his master and his lord, and the other feels a duty to the greater good
and the people,
the people that he's on the side of. I don't know. I think it's a very interesting dichotomy.
It is. It is very interesting. And there are several moments where I could tell that Hanbei, he was conflicted as fuck.
Yeah.
Because he kept trying, because like the Lord or whatever, he like kept trying to like, he almost like wanted to just like go straight through because he thought he was invincible, but Hanbei was like, no, we gotta like go around, we gotta like find a way out of this, right? Because if we can just get out of here, we'll be fine. And he was doing everything in his power to like keep this guy safe, but the Lord guy just kind of had a death wish. And he kept, throughout the movie, he kept talking about like how like, fighting is like in war. There's like during the whole last fight scene, he was like, he's watching all of this fighting happening, and he asked Hanbei, he was like, do you think this is what the time of war was like? And Hanbei was like, yeah, probably. And he was like, I like this. I think when I'm in power, we're gonna go back to doing this.
Let's bring it back.
And Hanbei, and you could see Hanbei visibly like, oh my god,
what? Oh fuck,
what am I doing? But like you were saying, he was assigned to this guy, and he has to be loyal to him. And so I think Hanbei was trying desperately to at least avoid some of the conflict,
right? To
no avail.
I'm trying to make sure his name is Hanbei.
I think it is. Hanbei.
Yeah, can't find this motherfucker.
We imagined him.
We did. Maybe we did.
Uh-oh.
I'm not speaking into the microphone. I'm doing stand-up now. Is his name Hanbei?
I want to say.
I think it is.
It's got to be, right? Yeah, Hanbei.
It is Hanbei. Okay.
Hanbei
good.
Kito.
Cool.
Played by Masachika Ichimura.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Right on. Right on.
Right on, brother. Yeah. And again, it's just a testament to the acting in this movie, because like that actor did a very good job of portraying just like the internal conflict he was dealing with this whole situation.
Yeah.
It was a real shit show.
Yeah.
And his fight against the fucking, what's his goddamn name? Shinzemon.
Yes.
I think they're one-on-one. That was really...
It's a very good duel.
It's a very good, yes.
And I like that it again, it's just kind of one of those tropes of samurai movies that there's the mutual respect.
Yes.
Like we talked about last week with Zatoichi and the ailing Ronin.
Yes.
In this one, it's very similar, where even though they're on opposite sides, Shinzemon has a lot of respect for Hanbei.
Yes.
And so when he does kill him, he tries to give him an honorable death.
Yes.
And he gives him the mercy of decapitating him, right? So it's very swift. Mm-hmm. And then that guy he kicks his head.
That was fucked up.
It is fucked up. Yeah.
And Shinzemon does ask a very valid question. Why the fuck did you kick his head?
Yeah.
He laid down his life for you.
Right.
And I can't remember what the dick said, but it was very clear that he didn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Like all of these people that fought and died for him, they were just pawns.
Yeah, they're just cattle to him.
Yeah. And so, which is a damn shame. Because, I mean, Hanbei deserved more than that.
He did. And I do like the... Because the Shinzemon ends up dying.
Yes.
And I feel like there is this moment where you're watching it and you're like, he could have avoided that blow, right? Where he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
But he does say at the beginning that as a samurai in a time of peace, he's looking for an honorable death.
Yeah.
And I think there is the implication that he kind of lets that happen.
Yeah.
So that by the end of this, he's just done for.
Yeah.
And I do, God, when he kills that guy, it's so satisfying.
It's so, yeah.
And just that, like, again, that moment where he's just crawling around and he's screaming. You're just like, good.
And I like that that Shinzemon, like, lets it drag out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, like, he could have, like, just ended him real quick. But
Right.
he lets him kind of crawl around for a little bit in pain
Yeah.
and all that. And so I was like, good on you, bud.
Yeah.
And I think kind of going back to what you were saying about like him being done with just being a samurai because they're in a time of peace.
Yeah.
He tells his nephew, he's like, look, man, as he's dying, he's like, look, this shit's fucked.
Yeah.
go live your life for
Yeah.
fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You know, get out of this.
And and I think what's like what I was saying earlier where the movie has something to say. Mm-hmm. I think what gives you an indication of that is where the movie ends.
Yes.
Because I feel like in an American film, they're like, don't think about the carnage, right?
Yeah.
They're like, don't think about it. Just end the movie. We won. Good.
Yeah.
But the movie really like takes another 5 minutes to go, we're going to have our main character walk through all the bodies.
Yep.
And you're going to see everything. And you're going to feel real bad about,
Yeah. And
about all the carnage. Yeah.
And you do.
And it kind of sinks in. Like, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
those were all people. I forgot.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think he knows that too.
Yeah. And it's and again, there's no music. Mm-mm. You're just hearing the sounds of like fire crackling and his footsteps falling. And there is the comic relief where that guy comes bounding up and he's like, fuck, that was fun.
Yeah. I'm out.
See you later. And then he skips away.
Yeah.
But there is still that moment where you're like, oh.
Yeah. Well, and not only like all that carnage, but like those were people's homes.
Yeah.
Right? They like had to evacuate the entire village. Mm-hmm. And so when, you know, as the dust settles and those people come back to the village.
Yeah.
Well, now they have 200 plus bodies.
Yep.
212
Yep.
bodies that they got to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
And they also have to rebuild a lot of their, you know, there was that whole building that just got blown up.
Yeah.
Right? There was the bridge coming into their town that they now have to fix. And so it's horribly probably because they're going to get back and there's just going to be carnage everywhere. And it's going to be horribly traumatic for them. So it's a real bummer. I will say. The one thing that kind of caught me off guard, and I was not...
I know what you're going to say.
I was not expecting this. When the Lord and his entourage show up...
Yeah.
It cuts, right? They're like... They get to the village. It wasn't even the Lord. It was, I think, Hanbei and, like, one other guy. They were, like, scouting ahead. They get to the village, they're like looking around, right? And it cuts to this little kid, butt ass naked, just nothing on.
Yep.
Right? Hanbei and this kid make eye contact.
Yep.
And it kind of does a couple cuts back and forth. And then all of a sudden, the kid just starts pissing.
He just starts pissing. Yep. It's so unexpected.
I was like, why is this in here?
I don't know. I don't know.
It threw me for such a loop.
I forgot about that until you brought it up just now.
Yeah.
I even remember watching that going, what's Grayson going to think of this?
I was like sitting there. I was like watching it, right? I was like paying attention. And then all of a sudden I went, oh, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to be funny, but like it's so unexpected that you're just like, huh?
It's jarring.
It is jarring.
Is what it is. I can see how they might think it might be like a little funny, but there's no lead up to it.
No, it's quite unexpected. But I think it is supposed to be this like it's supposed to show you that Hanbei's like, it's just a regular village. It's just people hanging out, right? But it is funny that it's this kid just being like,
he's got to be at least like 9 or 10.
Yeah, just dick out, just and then just pissing,
and doesn't break eye contact.
No.
It's just
that's
daggers.
A power move. Yeah,
daggers and then piss.
I'm cutting that out. I'm cutting that out and making a clip.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that on YouTube.
Excellent.
Just daggers and piss.
It was
that's unexpected.
I was not expecting that. It genuinely shocked me.
And there's so much that goes on in this movie.
Yeah.
That you kind of forget about it later, and then you're thinking about the movie, and you're like, hey, what was up with that?
Yep. That was wild.
That was wild. So one thing that I think this movie does well is I think it presents... Because this movie is basically one big setup and reveal, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the whole first half of the movie is just setting up the second half.
Yeah.
And I think they do a good job when it is eventually revealed, like, their plan. Mm-hmm. They do a good job of setting things up to where you can believe that these 13 guys could kill 200 others.
Yeah.
And there's moments where it gets a little bit unbelievable, but I think seeing them reveal like the gates that close.
Yeah.
And there's those moments where people run into a building and then the building explodes.
Yeah.
I think they do enough of that where you're like, okay, it's not just 13 guys single-handedly killing a bunch of other guys. There is a little bit of that typical, like, it's just one guy and for some reason everyone's not charging him. They're just kind of, waiting.
Right. It's like a one-on-one. It's like...
Yeah.
If you've ever played like Assassin's Creed,
and
you go into like a large group of people and you're fighting them, the game doesn't rush all of them at you at once. Right. You're kind of standing there, and then all of a sudden you'll see one enemy start doing a thing. So then you can counter and stab them, and then you wait.
Right.
And then you counter and then you stab. Right. It's like that.
It is like that. But I think they do a good job of like cutting away enough that you don't think about it too much.
Yes.
Because I think if they held on any one of those fights for too long, you'd be like, why aren't they all just stabbing him at once? But, and they do a lot of like wildly swinging to keep everyone away, which I think works.
Yeah. Now the one thing that kind of, because, okay, the entourage gets to the town.
Yeah.
And all these traps start going off, right? And the traps sort of stop, and one of the assassins says something either like, okay, that's 70 down, or it's like, okay, now we only have 130 left. Yeah. And so I was doing the math, right? So if there's 13 assassins and 130 motherfuckers left, each assassin gets 10 guys.
Yeah.
And that should be it. And there are several moments where it is like, there's like one assassin versus quite a large group.
Yeah.
And he gets about 10.
Yeah.
But they keep coming.
Yeah.
I was just watching it and I was like, this isn't quite adding up. It seems like there might be a little bit more than what they were saying.
Probably. Yeah.
Because, if one guy, takes out about 7 or 8 and he goes helps another guy and takes out another, 2 or 3.
Right.
Well, there's his 10.
Right.
And so it should have been fairly quick.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to think about it too hard. But I think, on the other hand, you could also make the assumption that they're getting that number based off of one guy who went ahead and scouted.
Yeah.
And he's not going to sit there and count all 200 of them. He's just like, and then runs back. So I could see it being like there was actually 250 or whatever, Because, some of them definitely kill more than 10.
Yeah. And so it's like...
And you do also have to suspend your disbelief that they wouldn't just wait around and then shoot him in the head with an arrow.
Right.
Because that's what I would do.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I would just wait until he stepped on some dynamite and then blow it up.
Right, exactly.
One of my favorite moments in this movie, because, what they set it up, right? Traps go off.
Yep.
There's that weird moment where all those CGI cows come running out.
That was crazy. That was insane. Because they're on fire, but it is so clearly like CGI.
Yeah.
And just like some of the worst CGI you've ever seen. That was crazy.
That was fun.
Yeah.
But so all this stuff is happening and they're doing really well, right?
Yes.
And then there's that moment where one of them dies, right? Yes. He gets stabbed through the rice paper, and he goes down, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's kind of like dominoes, like they all kind of start falling. But I think one of the best there's 2 great deaths, And one of them is they give that guy the dynamite.
Yes.
And then he's like running at him.
Yeah. And he just fucking
explodes.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing that I was like, that first of all would not have happened.
Right.
It's when that explosion goes off. We don't see the explosion, but we hear it.
Yeah.
And then there's just like that wave of blood.
Oh yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah,
but I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, really?
It's a great visual.
Oh no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it tells you, oh yeah, a lot of people died over there.
Yeah.
But I think you could have also just had the explosion and then maybe like a limb.
Yeah. That's
right,
true.
not just like wave of blood. Like this isn't biblical, whatever.
Yeah. It's
with
hyper real.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a cool visual.
It is. No, it was cool. Just it seemed a little out of place.
Yeah, I also like. So he's probably my favorite character. He's the big Ronin guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he has a death that he telegraphs himself earlier, where he's training the younger samurai and he tells them, there's no honor in combat, right? Like,
yeah.
If you have to pick up a rock, pick up a rock. If you have to pick up a stick, pick up a stick, right?
Right.
And there's that moment where him and his apprentice are fighting. His apprentice gets slashed and he goes down, right?
Yeah.
And we get his POV, and he's on the ground, right? And
Yeah.
his head is like in this thing, and he's kind of watching as he's dying. And his master is on the ground, and he's got a rock, and he's just beating a guy with the rock, and then he hits another guy with the rock, and then, he's stabbed, and he just crawls over, and then they die together.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the first moment where you're like, oh.
Yeah. No, that was heartbreaking. That was a real bummer.
It's rough, yeah. But I do like that they telegraph that earlier, and then it comes up where you're like, oh, he's doing what he said.
Yeah.
He's like
practicing what he preaches.
Yeah, against all odds, he is taking them down. Yeah. It's a bummer of a movie.
Yeah, it's real sad.
It's real sad. It's satisfying, but it's sad.
Yes. Yeah.
So one of the things I brought up a few times, there's not a lot of music.
There is not. I noticed that. I was
Yeah.
like, where's the music?
I think they use it very sparingly. Like there's parts where they're marching and there's some music. During the setup of the massacre, there's a bit of music.
Yeah.
And then there's some kind of in the middle when they're like fighting and it needs to be dramatic. But I do like that they're very they kind of hold back on it and let just the sound of the violence kind of happen. Especially at the end when you're kind of sitting with it. They do they're very restrained, right?
Yes.
They don't just throw sad music in your face.
Yeah.
They let you kind of decide how you should feel.
Yeah.
Which I think is good.
Yeah.
I just think it's a great movie.
It is. It's very good. The opening scene was a little rough.
It's shocking.
Yes. Because it's like there's no dialogue. There's no the very beginning of the movie, you get this black screen with text, and it is you're reading a bunch of stuff. It's telling you some history and context.
Yeah.
And then it's just this one guy kneeling
Yep.
in a square.
Yes.
Nobody else. And at first I was like, what the hell is he waiting for something? What's going to happen? And then he commits seppuku.
Yeah.
Technically, and I actually just learned this today, he technically just committed harakiri.
Yes.
Which is the act of disemboweling yourself.
Yes.
Right. Who was that?
I don't know. But
Fair enough.
From what I understand, he's the lord of this clan that in some way was wronged by Lord Naritsugu.
Okay.
And because the shogun is the half-brother of the lord, he doesn't punish him. And so this guy, what he does is he comes to the steps of the shogun, kills himself, and that's his protest. And so that's what kicks everything off, because the advisor to the shogun is like, we can't let this guy continue, because it's going to result in civil war, right?
Okay.
Because all these other clans are going to start, revolting, and it's
Yeah.
going to end up in this whole big thing. And so he's like, we got to take care of this guy, but the shogun can't come right out and ask me to do that.
Okay.
And so I have to take it upon myself to hire this guy to go kill him, right?
Okay. That makes sense.
And so, yeah, they don't outright say who that guy is. They're just like, he's the lord of this clan, and he's killing himself in protest.
Yeah.
One thing about I think this movie could do less of is there's a lot of very complicated Japanese history.
Yes.
Which I guess, like, if you are Japanese, maybe you know more of that.
Right.
But as somebody who's not, you're kind of like, I don't know where this is or who that guy is or what they're doing.
As I was watching it, and they were kind of talking about, they were in the village already, but they were talking about like the path that the Lord was taking.
Yeah.
I just pulled up fucking Google Maps and I just started typing in these fucking cities.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like looking at where everything was in relation. And it's like right in the Tokyo area.
Yeah.
It's like right. It's like there. Some of the places they were talking about were like right outside Tokyo. And then I think there was like a couple of places that were inside Tokyo. But yeah, it's like right in that area.
Yeah.
And I think that helped a little bit.
Okay.
Like just like as they were saying towns, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
quickly just Google Maps it, see where the fuck it is. And that kind of gave some context as to like the path they were taking and then just where in Japan they were.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, and I mean, I guess at the same time, I shouldn't say it should do less of it. I guess it's similar to like, to make the comparison again, like in a Western when it's, around the Civil War or it's before the Mexican-American War and you're supposed to kind of understand the context.
Yeah.
Like if you're not somebody who knows anything about American history, you'd be like, I don't know what's going on. Who's that guy?
Yeah. What's El Paso?
Who's Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah.
But, yeah. I was confused at the beginning, especially the first time I watched it. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I came for fun. I didn't come for history, but
yeah. No, I think the next time you watch it, just pull up Google Maps real quick, and when they say
I think I will.
towns, just punch it in real quick, see where it is.
Because I didn't even think to do that. I was just like, I don't know, they're somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and it was just interesting. I think I might still have some of them pulled up.
I do like, there's a very tense moment while you're doing that, where, because part of their plan is they enlist this other guy to head them off at the pass.
Yes.
And prevent them from moving any further. And there is a very tense moment where they're kind of doing a standoff on the bridge. And you're kind of like, oh, what if because their whole plan hinges on that moment, right? Where he decides to go a different route. Yeah. And there is the moment where you're like, he could just decide to just barge right through them. Yep. And their whole plan falls apart, right? And I like that moment. I think it's executed well.
Oh, it's done very well.
And there is that great moment where they're like, come on, you're going to let us pass. Like, stop playing around. And then he's like, snaps his fingers and all the guys with the guns come out.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's serious.
Yeah. So one town that they named, and I'm going to butcher the fuck out of this, is Ochia? Ochie?
Ochai?
Oh, yeah. Ochiai.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And so there it is.
Okay. Oh, I was too close to the mic.
And where the fuck? And there's, so let's see. Okay. So that little red thing, that's where it is. And then there's Tokyo over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is pretty close to Tokyo.
And then I find in these movies, they always talk about Edo.
Yeah, Edo. Yeah.
I found Edo. It's this tiny little place inside, I believe inside, I don't know if you can see it, but.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I wasn't able to, because I kind of did it late.
Yeah.
That idea kind of came late. And so I didn't catch like all of the town names, but.
Right.
As I was watching, I like had the maps pulled up and I found that first one And then they said another name, and I wasn't able to punch it in quick enough. But I just like started going around Japan in that area, and there was several other towns that I was like, oh, I remember them talking about this, and so it was wildly interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. I have never been to Japan.
Neither have I. My dad has.
I would like to.
Yeah,
it looks beautiful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this whole movie's gorgeous.
Oh, it's
very well shot.
Yeah,
especially the beginning where it's taking place mostly at night, and they're in these like, I don't want to say hut. It's like just these buildings.
Yeah,
and it's mostly just lit by candle.
Yes,
I think those were very pretty.
Oh, those were and
they're well shot, so where you can still see everything, like you're not lost, but just that real soft lighting is really cool. The one from the 60s is not as pretty.
Well,
it's got that 60s lighting where everything is just lit. Yeah,
hell yeah.
By the way, the one from the 60s is on a little website called YouTube. And it's free if anybody wants to watch it. It's like an hour and a half.
Okay.
It's kind of funny because at the beginning of it, they play a trailer for the movie you're about to watch, and then you watch the movie.
And then you watch the movie. Nice.
Which is just interesting, I guess.
Fascinating.
But, yeah. And for some reason, the one on YouTube is in color, but when you like look up the one from the 60s, like on Amazon or whatever, it's black and white. So I don't know.
All right. Well, sure.
I don't know how YouTube got the color print, but
yeah,
somebody got lucky.
Yeah. Right on.
That's about all I got, really.
Yeah, I think that's all I got too.
It's a banger.
It is.
And thus concludes. Oh, petting the bratwurst.
Yeah.
That's not a euphemism. Damn.
Thick.
Yep, that concludes Ronin-vember. So that brings us to everybody's favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
What would you rate this movie out of 10 Hanbeis? 10 of Hanbei's funny little hat.
7.7.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What's your reasoning?
The kind of the slow start. Mm-hmm. Some of the disturbing content.
Yeah.
And then that fucking, I cannot get past that CGI. That was just,
it's pretty bad.
That was rough. Even for 2010, that was rough. And just some of the technical decisions I guess they made.
Yeah.
I was like, it just, some of the stuff, it just felt like it didn't fit well. But I mean, other than that, the acting was phenomenal. As we were saying, the fucking, like, the lighting was really good. The acting, did I already say that? I think I did. I think the story was really interesting.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. The action was incredible.
Yeah, it's next level.
It is a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
So overall, it was good. It's just there's a few technical things that I had trouble with, and then just kind of the slow start.
Okay. For me, this is a 9.
A 9?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and it is, you should take that with some salt, because this is more to my taste than it is to maybe your average person.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I just did. I have more of a, that was going to be really up my own ass. I have a very, like, I'm a man with a very specific taste. No. Really, though, it does come down to just, like, I like this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I am big into samurai movies. I'm big into hyper-violent action movies.
Yeah.
And so, for me, that all works. And I'm also really into just Japanese dramas in general. Like, just, And so for me, I'm like, as somebody who's more used to some of the more shocking stuff, I like it more because I like the payoff. Like, I like the beginning of it and how it just explodes at the end. That all works for me. But I think if you're not a fan of that kind of thing, and if you have a weak stomach or any of those issues we talked about at the beginning, this is not the movie for you. And so I can't recommend it to everybody. But I think if you are a genre fan in the way that I am, then it's a 9 out of 10. It's just, it's so good. Yeah. It's a big win for me. Big dub.
Huge dub.
That's what they call me down at the
Cracker Barrel.
The Cracker Barrel. Here comes Big Dub. Give me a catfish. I don't know.
Cracker Barrel's a weird place.
It feels out of time.
Yes. It is. I've only been a few times, and it's mediocre at best.
I think Cracker Barrel's weird, right? Because every Cracker Barrel you go to is essentially the same.
It's exactly the same.
They're all set up the same. The food's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had great Cracker Barrel, and I've had bad Cracker Barrel, right? By the way, if you're not from the U.S., Cracker Barrel is this weird chain of restaurants in the U.S. that mostly appeals to old people.
I always like to say there's a reason it's called a Cracker Barrel.
Yes, old white people. But it's supposed to be this like mix of like Southern comfort food and like American classic. So it's got a lot of like chicken and dumplings and fried catfish and mashed potatoes and mac and cheese. And it's like all that kind of food. Yeah. But it's also a country store. Yeah. So there's like the front half of it is like kitschy, like gifts and things and old timey toys.
And you have to walk through that to get to the restaurant.
To the restaurant, yeah. And inside the restaurant, they have like antiques. So there's like antique photos on the wall. Yeah. And it feels like you've stepped into like the South before slavery was outlawed.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Yeah.
It's gnarly.
It is a weird thing.
Yeah. I don't even know how they're still in business.
I don't know. It's funny too because Cracker Barrel feels like a caricature of an American restaurant that you would find in another country, but it's in the US. Yeah. Like it feels like when you walk into what do you call those? Like a Japanese like
fusion restaurant.
Yeah, fusion restaurant, and they've got like, just random Japanese things on the wall. Yeah. And you're like, that doesn't go with that. Like, what is this? It feels like
that's actually Chinese.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like that, but for Americans.
Yeah.
But
it is American.
It's for Americans? I don't know.
It's a very strange place.
It's
if
odd.
you ever visit the US, just go inside one. Yeah. I wouldn't say necessarily eat at one.
No.
You can.
It's not bad. And it's not the most expensive thing. Like, it's fairly reasonable.
Yeah, it's a toss-up, honestly, with their food. Yes. Because like you're saying, I've had bad Cracker Barrel and I've had good Cracker Barrel, but you never know.
You really don't.
And so, eat at your own risk.
Eat at your own risk. Eat your Cracker Barrel at your own risk.
I think the weirdest part about Cracker Barrel is the fucking gift shop.
Yeah, it is odd.
It doesn't make any sense.
When you think about it too hard, you're like, wait a minute. What is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be like if there was like a Kmart out the front of a Taco Bell. You'd be like, why is this? This is weird.
This is strange.
It'd be like, when you go into like a Walmart and there's like a McDonald's in there. It's that, but the opposite. Yeah. It's like you walk into a McDonald's, but there's a Walmart at the back. You'd be like, what the hell?
Yep.
But we're just so used to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's odd.
Cracker Barrel's a real weird. And I'm so used to it now because whenever we'd go on vacation, like one of the things you do is you go to Cracker Barrel. I don't know why. It's like you'll be on a road trip, right? And you'll be this is so American. You'll be driving through the giant ass country and you'll be in the middle of buttfuck nowhere.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, we got to pull off to get gas. And you're like, you pull off the road and you're like, Cracker Barrel.
What are you doing here?
And you step inside. You're in a town with probably 4 people. And the Cracker Barrel is full.
It's packed.
There's a 20-minute wait.
Yeah.
It's 2 p.m. on a Friday. And for some reason,
it's just packed.
Wall-to-wall geriatrics. I don't know.
And they're all eating the same thing.
The same thing.
It's the chicken fried steak.
Yes.
With mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Oh. Now I want Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. Let's go get Cracker Barrel.
All right. Let's go. There's one by you.
Yeah,
not to dox you. There's one right by you.
There is one right by. I keep forgetting it's there. I'll be like driving down Coors and just off to the right. I'm like, oh look, fucking Cracker Barrel. And it, like that's the thing, right? Yeah. It's either you're on a road trip and you go to this tiny ass little town of one guy, right, packed to the brim, or you're in a metropolitan area, right. All this modern shit, and then all of a sudden, Cracker Barrel, yeah. And you're like, why?
I don't know.
How?
I don't know. It's like an anchor store, you know? It's just a sign of civilization. I don't know.
Yep.
It's like the Dollar General.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Dollar Generals feel liminal.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it. You step into a Dollar General and you're like, I feel like I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know?
If it does. It feels illegal.
The workers don't feel real.
Yeah.
Like, they're at the thing and you walk in and they just look at you like... And you're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The entire Dollar General store feels like a back room.
Yeah.
You're like, this is for employees only.
Yeah, you feel like, like Dollar Tree can be inviting in the right, you know, it always feels kind of grubby, but at the very least, you're like, I'm supposed to be in here. Yeah. Dollar General, like, there's no windows.
Nope.
It's such a weird...
No. And the shelving is so weird.
Yes.
It's set up in such a strange...
It is odd.
...way... And there's like no order to anything.
No, you'll be like walking down an aisle and you're like, all right, you know, hammer, nails, peanut butter. What?
How did we get here? And that's why that's why it feels like a back room. It's like there's nothing stocked properly.
No.
And so you're like, this is where they get the stuff to stock the shelves. It's a very strange place.
Yeah. And they have weird deals. It'll be like 4 for $9. And you're like, what?
How does that add up?
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And they're never in a normal spot. Like there's one near me and it's in this random, like there's nothing else by it. And there's like desert on one side.
Yeah.
And then there's a Dollar General and then nothing else.
Nothing else. Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It's very strange. The U.S. is a very weird place.
We're an odd place.
We're the problem is, I think, is we're so big.
Yeah, there's too much space and not enough people.
Yeah, and so we're like, all right, we're just gonna put something here.
Yeah,
and good luck.
Yeah, and yeah. Oh my God, Dollar General. I haven't thought about Dollar General in a long time.
I know. You can actually hold your FedEx packages at the Dollar General.
I believe that. They're looking to introduce healthcare into Dollar Generals. Like clinics.
Oh, okay.
Well, did you see that Amazon is going to get into the insurance business?
Oh, good.
Yeah,
because that's
add that onto your Prime membership.
For an extra $2.99, you can get Amazon insurance.
Yeah, they're like, all right, you can get let's see, free shipping, Prime Video. Okay, full coverage. Hold on,
I can get health, dental, and vision. What the fuck?
And yet we can't just have it come out of our taxes. I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
Weird.
It's very strange.
I love this country.
I think my favorite thing is watching British people like talk about like, oh yeah, you know, England is so big, we got to drive 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we're out here. You can literally you can look this up on Google fucking Maps. You can drive starting in Texas for 13 hours.
Yep.
And still be in Texas.
Yep. I saw this great video where, you know, it was somebody from England, and they were talking about, they were like, oh, I tell people like, oh, I'm from Shropshire or whatever. And they're like, and people will be like, oh, is that by London? And they're like, no,
it's not by London.
It's 45 minutes away. And it's like, I could go 45 minutes from where I am currently and not be out of the city. Like New Mexico is in the top 10 of the biggest states, right? Yeah. You could go from one side of New Mexico to the other, and it would take you hours. Like 5 hours, right?
Yeah. It like to go from Albuquerque, which is probably the biggest city in New Mexico, to Denver.
Yeah.
Right.
4 hours. Or 6 hours.
In some cases, 8.
Yeah.
8 hours just to go over a state.
Yep. And we say we're close to Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, literally. Me and my roommate and one of our other friends, we were like, we're going to go watch, I think it was Pierce the Veil up in Denver. Mm-hmm. And it was like, we'll just drive up to Denver. It'll be just like a quick day trip. We'll stay the night and then drive back.
Yep.
Right? 8 hours there, concert, 8 hours back.
Yep.
And it's like, that was nothing.
Yeah. Close is like an hour or less.
Yes.
Right? Like, if I say like, is that close to Albuquerque? I'm like, well, yeah, technically.
It's
30 minutes away. But,
right. Like Santa Fe.
Right.
Right. That's like an hour away.
It is an hour drive.
But it's like, I could drive to Santa Fe, spend a whole fucking day there, and then drive back.
There is an hour between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and yet it's still considered like the same metro area.
Yes.
That's how crazy it is.
Yeah.
The U.S. is stupid big.
It is scary big.
It's stupid big.
The difference between Europe and the U.S., Europe is old as fuck.
Yeah.
It's scary how old it is.
Yep.
The U.S. is big as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, you can fit, like 4 Europes inside of Texas.
Yep. And to blow people's mind even more, so there's the continental U.S., right?
Yes.
But then we also have Alaska. And Alaska, by itself, is almost half the size of the continental U.S.
Yes.
It's huge.
It's about, I think it's like twice the size of Texas. Almost.
And it's by itself. Like, you have to leave the continental U.S., go across Canada, and then you get another U.S. on the other side.
Yeah. It is so big.
Yeah.
It's so big.
And we have Hawaii.
That's true. We do have Hawaii.
Which is not very big.
It's not very big. Our 2 smallest states are probably Hawaii and Rhode Island.
Rhode Island is tiny. You can walk around Rhode Island.
Yeah. That's like if we had to compare any one state to Europe, it'd probably be like the entire Northeast.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we talk about like, he's from Maine. It's like, he's one of the 3 people from there. Yep.
Like Connecticut and Vermont, they're tiny as shit.
Yeah.
But
they are really tiny.
By American standards.
Yeah. They're basically Canada.
They're big, I know. But like if a European went to Connecticut, they'd feel right at home.
Yeah. But it is funny when you see people, they're like, we're taking a trip to the U.S., and we're going to stay in Chicago. We'll just take like a day trip to
Florida.
To Florida. And it's like, that's a 4-day trip.
Yeah, you can't. That's the funniest thing. There's this woman on TikTok that I saw, and she like helps people like plan their trips or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was helping this one family, and they're like, so we're going to go down to Disney World, or Disney World's in Florida, right?
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go to Disney World, and then we're going to go shoot over to the Grand Canyon, and then we're going to go see Mount Rushmore. And she was like, oh, cool. Do you have all your flights booked?
Yeah.
And they were like, flights booked? And she was like, well, yeah. And they're like, no, we're gonna drive. And they're like, and she was like, but I see here on your like itinerary, like you're planning to do this all in like span of like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it should be fine. And she kind of started laughing. And they were like, why are you laughing? And she was like, it takes 4 days to just get from Florida to the Grand Canyon. And they didn't believe her, and they hung up on her.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes later, they called back and they were like, so we're sorry.
Yeah.
We just looked on Google Maps.
That's crazy.
And she was like, I can help you get it all figured out.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a little lighthearted thing after talk of a
very grim film.
Yes.
What
are we watching next time?
Next week. Not next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yes. Well, we'll have to talk about when we actually record, because I'm kind of going out of town again.
Nice.
And then also Thanksgiving is happening. But regardless, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, if you celebrate.
If you celebrate. If you don't, just remember that.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. And if you do celebrate, just remember you're celebrating on stolen land.
Yes, that is true.
Haha.
Got him.
Anyway. Next time, we're doing our first edition of our mystery film.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. So the way this is going to work, I have a movie pre-selected. It's in my head.
Okay.
I was going to say it's in my inbox. That doesn't make any sense. So what I will do, in fact, I'll do it right now.
Ooh.
I'm going to send you a link.
Okay.
Let me find a link to the trailer and make sure my volume is down just in case it starts playing. I I'm on the wrong... Oh, I accidentally opened up the podcast YouTube.
Ooh.
We have a notification. Let's see what it is. New subscriber.
Well, hey.
Thank you, Patrick Early. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
Let's do a live... I'm getting distracted. Let's do a live subscriber count. We're now 126.
Hey. That's what's up.
Good job, everybody.
Divisible by 6. 21.
Oh, hey! All right, anyway. Switching over to my personal YouTube, and I'm going to look up the trailer.
For D's Nuts.
Originally, what I was going to do is I was going to wait until you actually watch the movie.
Okay.
To reveal it. But what I'm going to do, we're going to do this live.
Okay.
Because I think it would be funny to get your reaction.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you a link.
Hopefully it's not malware.
It shouldn't be malware. I don't think it should show you a preview, but if it does, don't look at it.
Copy that, Chief.
So I have sent you the trailer to the movie we're going to watch.
In my email?
In your email.
Okay.
And I want you to open it. We're going to get your live reaction.
All right.
See if it said.
It did. I just have a link. No preview.
Okay. Just go ahead and open that link for me.
Go ahead and open the link. Tap to unmute. God damn it.
Do you want to go ahead and read out the name of the film that we'll be watching?
Next time on Viva La Action, we will be talking about the American classic, Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes!
Here's the thing. I've never actually seen this movie.
Good.
I've never seen Paul Blart Mall Cop.
I'm excited.
I'm also excited.
It's not good. I'll tell you that for free.
I don't expect it to be.
But I think we'll have fun with it.
Oh, yeah. It'll be great. I honestly thought you were going to Rickroll me.
That would have been better.
That
I probably
should
have done that. But no, so next time we're watching Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Paul Blart Mall Cop. Excellent.
But see, it's topical because it takes place on Black Friday.
Well, hey, okay. All right, there you go.
It's in the holiday spirit.
I like that we're calling Black Friday a holiday spirit.
Yeah. Why not?
That's fair. I'm going to try to cop me a PS5.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Not really. But that'd be fun.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. We have two PS4s and a PS3. Mm-hmm. So if we get rid of all three of those, we can probably afford PS5.
That's true.
On Black Friday.
I still have my PlayStation 4.
Nice.
Anyway.
Paul Blart Mall
Cop. Look forward to that next time. But until then, what should they do?
Like, comment, subscribe, rate us, give us 5 stars.
Yes.
On all the things. Leave a nice little comment. Say hello. You can email us at vivalaaction@gmail.com.
Yes, absolutely.
We're on the social medias.
Yep.
We got the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the TikToks.
Yep.
Viva La Action at all of those places.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Just interact, baby.
Interact with us.
Yeah.
If you're listening on YouTube, leave a comment.
Yeah.
Like the video. Share it.
Yeah. Spread it around like a venereal disease.
Good Lord. Yeah, send us a recommendation on the old Gmail.
Yep.
I'd love to hear those.
Yep.
Or you can comment it. I promise I will respond.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
You'll find Grayson skipping around the forest with a rock above their head.
Yep.
And you'll find me butt naked on the Space Needle.
Yep.
In Seattle. Just pissing off the side.
There you go.
That does it for this episode.
Hell yeah.
Bye.
Adios.
Gotta turn this off now.
Oh boy.
very dark in here.
It is.
It's kind of nice.
It is. It's very
raining?
pleasant.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the movie podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. The good, the bad, and the other... Fuck!
You got it. We're keeping it in.
Fuck. Okay, we'll try that again.